August the 6th, mugworts and wormwoods. Another plant that comes very much into focus this month is mugwort, Artemisia vulgaris. It is a tall plant which is common beside roads and in waste places, both here and across the rest of Europe. Its Latin name, Artemisia, comes from the goddess Artemis, who first received this healing herb from the centaur Chiron. Its English name, less romantically, is thought to be connected to its old use as a moth repellent. Since Anglo-Saxon times, it has had many connections with sorcery. Its leaves were thought to turn north under the action of magnetism. Fully grown specimens were thought to produce a coal beneath them, which, if dug up on Midsummer's Eve, was an excellent cure for carbuncles. It was also considered useful against venoms which fly in the air. Considering this history, it is not surprising that carvings of its deeply cut leaves can be found in many churches, especially on medieval roof bosses. If a larger, darker, less felty mugwort is encountered, it is likely to be Chinese mugwort, Artemisia velotiorum. This plant has also been with us a long time. It arrived from China in the 17th century, and being the more scented of the two, was used in medieval scent bags. A hybrid of the two has been found on Tottenham marshes. Other closely related scented plants are the wormwoods. The Latin name of wormwood, Artemisia absinthium, it suggests correctly this highly scented species is an ingredient of absinthe. It is also an ingredient of the liqueur chartreuse. An oil made from the plant was known to cause hallucinations and also cause objects to change colour. Considering this, it seems a poor choice to be included in an ointment which was sold to protect people from being visited by goblins at night. The rest of the mugworts and wormwoods in London, which includes tarragon, are mainly non-persistent aliens, which just turn up from time to time, especially along the Thames. Ferns and fungi. August is the perfect month to get to know and enjoy not only our wild native ferns, but in London, but also a number of alien ferns we grow in our gardens. This is because virtually all ferns are now fully unfurled, and many are shedding spores, usually from the undersides of their leaves. To help make a field identification, it is well worth getting to know the names of the various different parts of a fern. The spore-producing structures, sporangia, are usually in groups, and covered in a membranous flap, indusium, whose shape is often helpful in identifying a particular fern. How divided the fern frond is also important. If just divided once into a simple row of leaflets, it's called pinnate, for example, polypody fern. If divided twice, it is bipinnate, for example, the male fern, and if divided 3 times, tripinnate, for example, the broad buckler fern. It is quite remarkable the range of different leaf shapes in this ancient group of plants, the many different shades of green, and the various degrees of dissection of their leaves is what makes them so attractive, especially when clustered together in gardens. Generally, it is easy enough to identify London ferns by their leaf shape alone, but there are exceptions. Our most common woodland fern, the male fern, Diopteris phoenix, is usually identified by its sparsely scaly stem rachis and kidney-shaped indusia on the underside of its leaves. However, in London there are also 2 other male ferns, both with scalier stems. If the stem is densely covered in golden scales and the leaves are shiny, it could well be the yellow golden scaled male fern, Diopteris affinis subspecies affinis. And if the leaves are not quite so shiny and there are fewer scales, possibly the common golden-scented male fern, Diopteris affinis borreri. Fortunately, all 3 occur on Hampstead Heath, where comparisons can be made. There can also be confusion between the broad buckler fern, Diopteris dilatata, and the narrow buckler fern, Diopteris carthusiana. The broad buckler fern is also common in London woods and usually recognized by its large triangular-shaped tripartite leaves. There is also a distinct stripe down the center of the scales on its stem. The narrow buckler fern, in comparison, has much narrower fronds and no stripe on its scales. Again, both can be found on Hampstead Heath, including their hybrid. Shield ferns, Polysticum species, are another group that can sometimes cause confusion. They have such attractive, highly dissected leaves. They're very popular with gardeners. The 2 most likely to be encountered are the soft shield fern, Polysticum sativum, and the hard shield fern, Polysticum aculeatum. Just stroking them both, you can usually tell the difference. The first is soft to the touch, and the second much stiffer. If still confused, the soft shield fern is light green, glossy, and its lower leaves, pinnae, are the same length as those more centrally placed on its frond. The hard shield fern, which is more often seen in gardens, is a darker green, and its lower leaves are just half as long as those more centrally placed. Although there are 3 different spleenworts, the splenium species in London, their leaf shapes are so different they're all easily identified. All of them are found as small ferns on walls. The black spleenwort, a Splenium adiantum nigrum, looks a little like a miniature male fern, 5 to 20 centimetres, except with triangular-shaped leaves. Wall rue, a Splenium ruta has leathery leaves similar in shape to those of garden rue, Ruta graveolens. And the maidenhair spleenwort, a Splenium trichomanes, has long black hair-like stems which carry 2 rows of small round leaves. All 3 can be found on the masonry in Lesner's Abbey Wood. The woods. Another closely related spleenwort is the rustibat fern, Ceterat officinarum, which is also found on walls. The wavy edge of its leaves and the dense colouring of rusty-coloured scales underneath them make it instantly recognisable. Alien ferns that we grow in our houses and gardens are starting to be found more often in wild situations, especially in central London. The cause of this is still uncertain, but you might expect to encounter 5 different brake ferns, terrace species, 3 different holly ferns, Sertomium species, and occasionally a slightly different shield or maidenhair fern. Other places noted for their wide range of ferns include Harrowweald Common, Oxley Wood, and Stanmore Common. The latter site also boasts 4 different horsetails, that is, the field horsetail, Equisetum malvense, on dry ground, the water horsetail, Equisetum fluviatile, which is usually found beside water, the great horsetail, Equisetum telematei, which seems to like railway embankments, and there is just a faint possibility of the marsh horsetail, Equisetum palustre, which unsurprisingly likes marshy ground. The autumn fungi often make a hesitant start in the latter part of August. In woods, you may see precociously early earthballs, puffballs, stinkhorns, grisettes, as well as various brackets and the brown roll rim. On roadsides, a number of agarics, such as Agaricus bitorquis, can suddenly appear, and in meadows, various dung-loving species, such as the Sathirellas, may be seen in numbers. In gardens, it is the rusts and the mildews that tend to get noticed, especially on hollyhocks and roses.